So here are two good examples of what you still need to learn. These come straight from the review, although the numbers won't match. So the hardest thing to find, the hardest way to start a problem like this is when we know it's in standard form because we have two different x's, is to find the vertex. So the first one that I want to show you is just find the vertex. Well, let's recall that my standard form is y equals, and we'll give you this. And that's where the A, B, C comes from. So the first thing you're going to do is identify A equals, B equals, C equals. So what is in the A position? A negative 1/2. Negative 1/2. What is in the B position? Well, the B is in front of the x, so negative 4. And what is in the C position? 7. Now you're going to look to your formula, your reference sheet, and you're going to see that the vertex is going to be opposite of B over 2A, comma, and then plug it in. Not a very nice formula. But the trick here is this part. All right, I'll write it out because fractions are tough to type. Opposite of B over 2A. Now notice how I keep saying opposite of B. Opposite of B. It's very helpful because many people get messed up with negative 4. That's tricky. So if you see that your B is a negative 4, well, what's the opposite of negative? A positive 4. So when I use this equation of 4 goes on top, positive 4. And then on bottom, it's 2 times whatever A is, and A happens to be negative 1/2. Now, if you put this straight in your calculator, you're likely to make a mistake because there involves parentheses and order of operations, so I encourage you to just simplify this yourself. Do the bottom first. Well, that's a little trick you can remember. Always do the bottom first. 2 times negative 1/2 in your calculator, or if you know it, becomes a negative 1. The 4 stays a 4. 4 divided by negative 1 is a negative 4. So I know that this is my x because it occurs here in the x, right? X comma y. So I know that at least my answer begins with a negative 4. Now always, if you have an x, how do you find a y? Well, you take it and you plug it in, don't you? So we're going to take this x and plug it into these two x's. So we're going to say, start typing, y equals negative 1/2, parentheses, remember the parentheses, negative 4 raised to minus 4, parentheses, negative 4, plus 7. Now, I know you have a graphic calculator, so if you type this exact thing into your graphic calculator, then you'll get the answer. You can't drop a negative. You have to be very careful with parentheses. Very, very careful. Or you can show your work. Now, our hint to you is if you know you're doing it right, this first term and this second term, there's a pattern. Let me remind you of that pattern. Well, let's just do this and see what the pattern is. Negative 4 times negative 4 is positive 16. Half of that is 8, negative 8. And then negative 4 times negative 4 is plus 16. Now, do you see something interesting about the numbers negative 8 and plus 16? Well, the middle one is double the first, and they're opposite signs. So I encourage you to at least know that as a good check step. If you see that, you can confidently move on. Know that you're on the right track. Negative 8 plus 16 is positive 8. Plus 7 is 15. Okay. So my y is 15 because remember this was a y, and so y became a 15. So my vertex is negative 4, 15. Now the next thing I'm going to show you is, okay, now what? Well, now what is this? Negative 4, positive 15 is here, and so I know my vertex is there. And then we would use the 1a, 3a, 5a to plot the rest of the points. But again, all of this was just to find that first point, which is tough. So let me show you how I would do it for putting it all together. And this is almost exactly what you're going to see on your quiz. So identify A, B, and C. Well, A is a -1, B is a +6, C is a -4. Okay? A is here, B is here, C is here. Okay. Then we're going to do opposite of B. Well, B is 6, so the opposite of B is -6 over 2 times A, which is -1. We're always going to do the bottom first. -6 over -2, which is a +3. So I know it's going to be a 3. Now notice I'm running out of space, so I'm actually going to zoom in over here. And I know sometimes you use your own paper, which is totally fine. I just need to zoom and use a smaller cursor. Okay. So then I'm going to take, let me remind myself, I got a 3, a +3. So I'm going to take my 3 and plug it in for my 2x values. So I'm going to get y equals negative. It's a negative, so I'm going to say it's a -1. I'm going to plug in a +3, square it, plus 6, +3, -4. All right, let's simplify some of this. 3 squared is 9, times -1 is -9, plus 6 times 3 is 18. And that's all the multiplication when you were doing order of operations, and then -4. Oh, look at that. That pattern popped up again, so I could confidently move forward. Good job. -9 plus 18 is +9. -4 is a 5. So my y became a 5. Let me zoom back out. And I have, comma, 5. Now my axis of symmetry comes from my vertex. Remember, what letter do you see in there? X. X is, I want you to think, is equals. X equals whatever the x is in my vertex. What's my x in my vertex? 3. X is 3. Okay. Now, well, I know you know the domain is all real numbers. And it turns out, I don't know if you know this yet, it turns out the y-intercept is whatever the c is. You're not always going to get a c, but if it's in standard form, it's -4. So we'll accept that or that. Now that's the easy stuff. The rest of it is going to be helpful to actually see your graph. Let's see it. So again, I'm going to zoom in. A vertex at 3, 5. Now we are encouraging you to draw your new axes. So I have a 3, 5, I think. 3, 5. Okay. So that means that I have my new axes shifted to 3 and then +5. And wherever they come together, going to put a big bold dot because that is my vertex. All right. Now, after that, I'm going to apply my 1A, 3A, 5A. My 1A, 3A. Now, since A here is -1, 1 times -1 is -1. Because my A is 1, 3 times -1 is -3. So that means my next points are going to go over 1, down 1, and then over 1, down 3. Over 1, down 1, over 1, down 3. And this is where I should go in and name my points. So my first point is my vertex. We already named that one, 3, 5. My next point is 1 over, which is 4. And I went down 1, which is 4. And then my last one was over 1 again, which is 5. I went down 3. Now if I'm at 4, I then went down 3, I went to 1. So these numbers make sense, right? 5 to 4 is -1. 4 to 1 is -3. Graphically, this dot is 5, 1. Now I heard you say that you use your calculator to check these dots, and that is fine. I don't know if it's a wise use of time. If it's on your graph, then it's on your graph, and you can just name the dot. But you should see a 5 and a 1, and you know you're right. Okay, now that we have this, I'll zoom out and pan back over to start filling out the rest. We're almost done here. Hang in there. All we need to do is the interval of increase, decrease, and range. Now, the interval of increase and decrease match my axis of symmetry. So see how it's helpful to have this purple line now? Okay. So let's say I was a little rectangular ant. And I'm starting over here, like you start all things when you're reading on a paper, to the left. So on the left of the graph, I'm over here. And then I'm going to travel on my graph. And the question is, as I start to move to the right, am I also going to move it up or down to follow this curve? Well, this is going uphill until what? Until that axis of symmetry. So we've been saying in class that the show your work sort of thing is that it's increasing to the left. Oh, that is so small. It is increasing over here to the left. Not an answer, but it's helpful to know. And that means when I get to the top of the hill, as I keep moving to the right on my paper, it's going to start going down the hill, which we say it's decreasing then. So then it's decreasing to the right. I encourage you to write that on your page. Now to actually write your answer, we're going to say the x and the 3. The x and the 3. You see how it's nice, so similar to my axis of symmetry? And then left means less than, and right means greater than. You see how they're nice and they match like that? So after you get your axis of symmetry, which should match your vertex, your interval of increase and decreases are going to match, and it's going to be one or the other. It's 50-50 shot. It's either to the left or to the right. Now, do you see how the axis of symmetry matches the x? Well, the range is going to match the y. So the range is going to be y and 5. It's up to you to tell me, look at this axis. Do you see this horizontal purple? Is my graph below or above? And you should say it is below. So it's less than or equal to. Less than or equal to the y value of the vertex, or that horizontal line. And that's it.